This video is for financial coaches who want to get started with creating content online but don't really know where to start. So I'm going to walk through basically content creation 101, everything from the platforms, the equipment to like the different types of content you can create. And now I'm definitely going to miss some of the types out there, but these are the ones I'm most familiar with and the ones that people have most questions about. So just starting off with like equipment. And here's the thing about content creation that people don't even realize that the equipment you use is actually really basic. If you have a smartphone that's got a high quality camera already, and use the headphones that come with it. The microphone in your headphones, like I have this iPhone 11 or something, it's like 5, 6 years old, and then the Apple earphones quality is perfectly fine to just get started creating any kind of video content. Now, you need like a laptop or something like that to post online, have a blog or things like that, but that's it. You don't need a fancy camera. You don't need a fancy, um, mic, whatever you call this arm thing, just to get started, to have an online presence, to be able to educate and attract the leads that you are wanting to attract, whether your niche is couples or retirees, or maybe veterans, parents. All that stuff is really important when you're thinking about content creation. Knowing your audience. When you're creating content, you need to know who you're speaking to. Otherwise, like you're just trying to yell in a megaphone in the middle of a crowd and hope that your person that you can best help hears your voice. And so, what does this look like? For me, I like to work with young professionals. Maybe they're earning a big income, but don't have much money at the end of the month. You could be a coach for new parents or expecting parents to get them financially ready. Maybe newlyweds, veterans, nurses, whatever you want, you need to know your audience because that's really important for all this other stuff we're going to talk about too. So now the different kinds of social media platforms, you can write blogs on your own website. It's very hard when you're competing with some of these other platforms like, Yahoo Finances, NerdWallet, and things like that, Ramsey. It's really hard to compete like financial blog content. And so they'll say that you need SEO work, so that's search engine optimization. That's like the types of verbiage you use on your blogs. But honestly, I would use this as more of a lead nurture thing. So you have clients you already work with, say, hey, I wrote a blog about this. Here, feel free to check it out. But in terms of discoverability for new coaches, it's actually really challenging. Different social media platforms. You got YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter/X. These are some of the big platforms that a lot of people consume educational or transformational type content. And I can go into depth for each one of these, at least to my understanding. I'm not an expert by any means, but hundreds of hours trying to study this stuff. Hopefully, I can give you some of the information that I learned. But when you're thinking about these different platforms, think about what your goal is. So YouTube is great for longer form, content or shorts, but educational content works really well on this. Your typical consumer is, I mean, everyone, right? Like, is YouTube and Google are the same, and everyone goes to YouTube for content or learning or just following whoever they like to follow. But you can get a variety of demographics on YouTube. LinkedIn, this is primarily your professional space. So people who are looking for professional development, networking, referrals, that's a really great place. Or if you're trying to build your team, you can use LinkedIn for finding talent or finding collaborations. Now, Instagram, you'll typically have your Gen Z and millennials on this platform. And this honestly is really great for discoverability, similar to TikTok. Instagram and Facebook have really developed their algorithms for Reels. And so this can help you with discoverability and just getting started with colder audiences. Um, Facebook, Gen Z aren't quite on there quite as much, but like older millennials, or I guess millennials in general, millennials plus, spend a lot of time. But actually, what a really good benefit of Facebook's is are Facebook groups. And this is really valuable for creating content because you can post in a Facebook group and then find your target audience's Facebook group. So, for example, if I want to reach nurses and I'm going to like a nursing, like local nurses support group type Facebook group, share memes about nurses and finances or something like that. This is really great for community building and just getting your face in front of new people in a very personable way. Twitter, I don't really know too much about, so I'm gonna leave that blank. TikTok, you have your typical like Gen Z primarily, but actually a lot of people use TikTok. So the only thing with TikTok that's really specific is that people come to the platform already knowing that their attention span is so narrow. And so in terms of discoverability on this, it's really great. But in terms of like converting all those new eyeballs into paying customers or something like that is typically more challenging than some of the other platforms. But that's just a high level overview. There's a lot more I can go in depth about where your target audience may be spending their time and how they're spending their time on these platforms, but we'll just keep it basic like that. Okay. Sorry. So I want to show you some basic strategies for these things. Actually, I'll take off blogs because I can't really speak very well on that. If you want to do well in these different kinds, so if you watch one of my golden nuggets, one of the shorts that I created, I talk about different layers of trust building when it comes to reaching your target audience. And so some of the lowest level trust building like content would be your written content is because there's no face, they don't know who you are, you're just words on a page. And kind of a step up from that are pictures and audio and things like where some attribute about you is hidden. Then we go into video where they actually see your face, they see your voice, they see even like your small mannerisms. And then the highest trust stuff are live videos, kind of like what I'm doing here. I actually don't plan to cut this video so that you can see how I behave throughout this whole process and for this specific content. But I want to go through maybe like one or two nuggets of each of these on how to do well with this type of content because you can throw whatever, like you can do each one of these, but if it's not done well, it doesn't matter. And at the end, I want to give you a takeaway. Okay. So for written social media posts, I follow what's called the PADS framework. And the reason why is because this incorporates storytelling. And now, if you've watched a movie, if you listen to a keynote, storytelling is super impactful because it really helps capture someone's attention for an extended period of time. So what is the PADS framework? It is problem, agitation, disruption, and solution. So when you're writing a post, you want to walk through this framework because it takes someone through a journey and leads them to the solution, which is your service, your call to action, your lead magnet, whatever you have to offer your target audience. So, for example, um, let's talk about newlyweds. So maybe their problem for newlyweds haven't spoken about finances, and we'll just say it's taboo. Okay. So basically don't know how to communicate. Basically, start with a problem, something that hooks their attention. And then agitation is really painting the picture of what that problem looks like. For example, maybe um, spouse comes home from a long day at work and is and you're stressed about finances, but don't know how they'll respond. and agitating it, leaning into the fear, leaning to the uncertainty they may be experiencing. One of the disruptions I pretty much use, is fairly simple. It's just, what if it doesn't have to be like that? What if it doesn't have to be that way? Or basically like showing them that this is not normal, it's not healthy, or it could be better. And then solution being like your insert lead magnet or course, YouTube video, whatever it is. Now, this is a very like simple way to put it, but just remember the paths as that framework as you're writing written posts because you want to take someone through a journey and keep their attention. Otherwise, they're just going to scroll past. Now, to do for pictures and photos, this kind of content will live on like Facebook, Instagram, things like that. Depending on your target audience, people like memes, humor, relatability. They also like educational, kind of like quick tips, hacks, um, guides, things like that. So there's something on Instagram called carousels, which basically it's when you post multiple pictures and you have to swipe to essentially read it. And this is very, you can use that same pads framework with pictures, but basically you can, for example, you can do like 10 tips to save money this summer. And then tip one on one image, tip two on another image, tip three, and you can actually just put text in it. It doesn't have to be super fancy. And you can use the same picture for the carousels. People are mainly engaging with your post. That's what you really want to consider engagement. That's likes, comments, time spent on it, shares, etc. You want to create content that you yourself have liked or commented or shared. So think about doing kind of like a market research on it, on what other content creators are out there what using this kind of content. Now, these last two, I'm sorry if the video is so long. I want to get as much as I can to help you get started on your content creation. These are like my bread and butter because I spent so much time trying to nail this. So when it comes to video and live video, what's most important? I say volume, which means create as many videos as you can and get 1% better with each one. Now, why do I say that? Because this video content creation it has so many moving parts to it. You've got the attributes of written posts, the storytelling. You need to engage people both visually and audio. And like you have to present yourself on camera or have something like that. And there's just a lot of parts. It's hard to say exactly what your bottleneck is right now, but what's most important is doing the volume and then rewatching and like reviewing your own content. What can you improve on? What can you change? What worked well? And then do that with your next video. My suggestion actually is to start with TikTok or something like that, where you can just post 3 or 4 times a day and see the kind of feedback you get. Do I get 2 likes? Do I get 50 likes? And work from there. But the equipment, I already told you before, super simple. Just use your phone and your headphones. That's all. Get some decent lighting. Lighting's really important. Audio quality is really important. And then, of course, storytelling. And here's what I noticed about video. People in general, post-COVID or just in general, people appreciate authenticity. Authenticity. That you can show who you are, your personality, your quirks, your humor, because they're trying to connect with you as an expert and as a person. So, um, lighting, sources, windows are great. Um, right now I have a softbox, which is 20 bucks. Um, things like that, because whenever you have like a dark, like Like they can't see you. There's less trust. It's not visually appealing, things like that. Audio quality. People will actually watch a video with bad video quality, but good audio quality. But if you flip it and the audio quality is all like crackly or there's a lot of background noise and things like that, people want to check out. They'd have better time spending elsewhere. Storytelling, we already kind of talked about that and authenticity. Now, live videos. As you can see, all of these things are stacking up in terms of like level of difficulty in a way, in terms of like new skill sets you're learning. But with live video, the reason why this is kind of the highest trust building content is because they can actually see you unfiltered, uncut, like this video here, where you see how I'm carrying myself. I'm not clipping out mistakes. You get all the nasty coughs and ums and filler words. But in order to really do well with live videos, is that you need to promote engagement. So, like, let's talk about Facebook Lives. Okay. So with Facebook Lives, you can create a live, say we're talking about, we'll just say on the topic of summer, like 5 tips to save on groceries in the summer or something like that. And the whole point of the live is to have people tune in and stay tuned in. And part of the reason they would do that is because you're engaging, you're fun. And actually, on a live video, you may have to put up a little more energy than you're used to or video in general. Um, in your head, you may think you're super outgoing and extroverted, but in reality, you might not be. And so this will look like, if you're ready for tip number one, go ahead and comment the fire emoji and uh, or like let me know in the comments down below where you're from, introduce yourself because you want engagement going. You want people to actually participate because live video can be a one-way thing. And that's how you really build trust and also encourage the viewers to engage. Like that builds trust as well because they're having fun. They're shooting the emoji, they're commenting, and especially when you're acknowledging, like, hey, thank you, James, for the fire emoji in the chat, things like that. Now, it'll feel really weird if it's not something you're used to. So just like don't even touch live videos unless you're like comfortable with it. But it's not some scary thing. Okay. A lot of people will just record live videos and it'll exist as a recording. So you can script it just like any other YouTube video. So promoting engagement includes a lot of call to actions. So comment, like, introduce yourself, things like that. Now, I feel like I'm going on really long, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up with takeaway. A lot of financial coaches get paralysis of the analysis when it comes to creating content because it is scary. No one likes to see themselves on camera. No one likes to hear themselves on a podcast. I didn't. When I started, I didn't have any social media when I started this business. But getting started on the little things to just get the ball going was so important for me to just get out there and learn what I like, learn what I don't like, learn what kind of content vibes with people that I want to reach and what doesn't. So what's most important is that get started. Okay. Super simple, super rudimentary. You're probably like, wow, Teddy, what a waste of time. You just told me to get started on content creation. But the truth is, you can spend hours, days, years on thinking about getting started. One day I'm going to be on Instagram. One day I'm going to create that YouTube video. Eventually, when I have more time, when I have more money, when, then you'll start. But with most, you'll do all the learning as you go. I watched, I don't even know how many videos before I recorded my first video. And my first video was horrible. Like, I didn't have any of this energy. Both my hands were in my lap. The lighting was crap. The audio was crap, all that stuff. But what's most important that I got out of my shell and did the thing. And what's the worst that can happen? You get a dislike or someone posts a mean comment, but you have the authority to block them or remove their comment. So don't let what you think other people will think of you, stop you from posting the content, whether it's video, audio, photos, written, whatever. just post the content. Just get started because you can't steer a parked car. Okay. And you can learn and grow as you go. In worst case, if you have some cringy content that's out there, delete it. No one will see it. I actually wanted to show you some of that content. I don't know if you'll actually see it. Um, let's see. Let me go to my videos. So some of these very, very old videos, I say very old, it's only like a year and a half ago, where this was just my phone, like a webcam or something, and I just maybe put like a ring light or something like that. But you see, like the framing of this is not really great. Um, hold on, I don't know if you can see it, but like look at my how my head's positioned, all this stuff. I have a very like dull face as I'm presenting. Now this you can't look this up, that you don't want to see this on my end, but this is the kind of content I was creating when I got started. It wasn't great. And you don't have to be perfect with the type of content you make. So that is a very long story short of my content creation journey, as simplified as possible for you to just get started in whatever you're most comfortable with. I highly encourage some kind of video content so that you're building trust with your audience faster, because that's what we're in the business of. Building trust so people can actually talk to us and open up about about their financial problems and knowing that we are the solution to help them get there. We're their guide to empower them with the tools and all that stuff. So thanks for watching the end of the video. All right, y'all have a good one.